It's an absolutely insane day in the world of Magic the Gathering, where FOMO can take over from players, making them want to spend hundreds of dollars on Phyrexia All Will Be One bundle packs, but players continue to miss out on hidden gem cards that they should be buying. What is this game coming to? I'm not sure how I expected 2023 to start out, but I'm pretty sure in my nacho cheese brain and the universe of Magic the Gathering that I did not expect bundle packs to be such a hot commodity. Now, we are not here to talk about the bundle packs. We've already covered a video. There's lots of content out there, but what I want to bring to everyone's attention is it's a flash in the pan moment, right? This is a Godzilla moment. This is a Battle for Zendikar moment. That's all it is, okay? They'll be available. They're going to be around. You're going to have that opportunity again. It's going to come around again. It is so surprising to me how much anger, frustration disappeared down the drain. I guess they poured a little Drano in there and cleared it all up. And Wizards of the Coast has players right back on top of the hype train saying, "Go quicker! Get us there! Get us there! Go! Go!" That's what it appears to me. I'm all dressed up for you today. I ran home from a meeting just so we could talk about this because it's not only what Wizards is doing, it's how they're failing us. It's how they failed to provide what they should be providing. Do you think all these new powered cards are going to make things better? They make for an interesting moment in Magic. And the quicker they pump these products out, the quicker they can move on to the next product to generate more cash. But that leaves so many cards that players never got to enjoy, never got to see, or sitting in the background. Now, in some cases, some of these old cards have strictly better versions that are created, but other times, these cards are still perfectly fine. They cost pennies on the dollar, and they're available for players to abuse, use, and have a great time with in any type of format they want to enjoy. That's what's funny about these cards. You can spend hundreds of dollars getting a single box, getting one of these silly bundle packs, but at the same time, I think you could buy every card I'm going to show you today for like 20 bucks. Literally. It's 20, 25 bucks, I'm pretty sure. So let's take a few moments. Take a breath. Don't go throwing money away. It's great if you want to support your LGS, don't get me wrong. If you want one just to have it, hey, have at it, I say. But take a breath, sleep on it, and realize what you're spending. 200 bucks, 250. We're talking dual land territory here. For all those reserve list evil investors out there, a bundle pack or a Savannah. Bundle pack or Savannah. 2 Tolarian Academies. You see, that's like what? 20 Soldevi excavations? Like my brain starts going to reserve list math every time I think about it. Look, I'm all dressed up for you. I'm prepared to talk about this subject today. So anyway, I just think it's time we take a breath, look at some gemstone cards, some cards that are fun, they're great, they're nostalgic. Players don't always see them coming anymore because there's just such a variety of cards. And if you play your cards right, even if you spend $1 on one of these cards, it can be a moment when this card goes off. So let's go ahead and take a look at some gem-cutting moments of some great Magic cards. First off, let's take a look here. Alara Reborn, Spellbreaker Behemoth. This card's $1 in foil. It's less than $1 in non-foil. I won't really have to go over the prices today as much as I want to talk about the cards. This thing is 1 red, 2 green, 1 generic. This thing cannot be countered. Creature spells you control with power 5 or greater cannot be countered. So you want to have giant mammoth creatures. You can build entire decks around making things not be countered. Just to mess up those blue-white deck controls out there, okay? There are ways of doing it that are just fun and silly, and players forget about them. I have seen this card a couple times, of course, and of course I played when this thing first came out. But I'm looking at it saying, look at the price tag. Get a playset for $4. Like, it's so inexpensive to get some of these old nostalgic cards that players, as new decks are created, tend to forget about. They tend not to realize that cards like this exist anymore, and they just kind of think it went into like the aether, it disappeared, but they didn't. They're still sitting there. Sometimes strictly better versions come up, but other times they're just reprinted. Now here, the Perverter of Truth finally got reprinted, and it's a good thing because the price totally shot up when they gave us Sheoldred, right? This thing's a 5 casting, costs 6/5, but it says at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player loses 2 life and draws 2 cards. So in the case of Sheoldred now, this is a combo, right? You're going to gain life and gain cards. Your opponent's going to draw cards and take damage. It's a disgusting combination. But this card was up to like 40, 50 bucks. and then they reprinted it in Jumpstart 2022, collapsed the price down to $10. This is a card you should buy. If you have Shieldred, at least buy one copy of this. Chances are they're not going to print it again for a while because they totally collapsed the value, but it will creep up again if it's left alone. So at this kind of low gemstone mine value, you're like, hey, I might as well pick this card up for it's under $10 for a single copy. That's not a bad price at all. Now, when you're talking about messing with people, depending on how you're playing, we have a lot of new decks out there that are starting to go very artifact heavy. Now, for a splash of blue and 2 generic, all artifacts in play now require an upkeep cost of 2, in addition to any other upkeep cost they may have. If the upkeep cost for an artifact is not paid, the artifact's discarded. It's buried. It's gone. It's going to the graveyard. Now think about that. Think about all the artifacts people are playing, and for the low price of 25 cents, you can shove this card on the field of battle, make lots of enemies, and people go, why are you playing that card? That is how they're going to feel. They are going to have a great time trying to figure out why you have it, what they have to do to work around it, and if you built a deck with minimal artifacts, you don't care. And that's the funny thing about a lot of cards. Players forget they exist. How about a Fire Servant? Now this is from the premium deck in Fire and Lightning series, right? This thing's $1. It's a beautiful looking card. But take a closer look at what this thing does. 2 red, 3 generic for a 4/3. But if a red instant or sorcery spell you cast would deal damage, it deals double that amount of damage. Think about all the uncounterable red spells. Think about all the spells you can pop off really quick. And when somebody sees this, they will try to kill it. It gives them a target. It gets them off your back. These are fun cards to have around, and they are so cheap to get. These are so inexpensive now that you just can't pass up on some of these amazing gemstones of cards. Now, the next one here is Worship. This is Urza Saga. It's been reprinted. But when you take a closer look, guys, cards like this have a very unique mechanic that Wizards really doesn't like to deal with too much. 1 white, 3 other. This is an enchantment. Damage that will reduce your life total to less than 1. Instead, reduces it to 1 if you control a creature. A little caveat there. You got to control a creature. Whereas the original type of card like Ally of Cairo, reserve list card would say anything that reduces you less than 1 just brings you to 1. There's lots of mechanics around this. I'm going to display some of them because you just don't see enough of this. And think about the ways you can bring these cards back. Even if it's a temporary fix, there are so many ways now of grinding back your enchantments, getting enchantments, looking for enchantments, that you really can't miss out on buying cards like this in the original versions for such a low expensive price of $2.50. Now our next card is the Elder Scale Worm. Now again, this card in foil is expensive, but the market price for a regular version, $3.70. And when you take a look, right? Yes, it's 3 green, 4 other, it's a giant whomping worm, it's awesome, it's got trample, but when it enters the battlefield, if your life total is less than 7, it brings your life total to 7. As long as you have 7 or more life, damage that reduce your life to less than 7 reduces it to 7. So again, it's one of those cards that keeps you alive. People never see this kind of thing coming in green. It's just one of those fun cards to have around, and it's a good casting cost for a creature like this. And there's lots of ways of giving these things haste and getting the damage out there right away. For an M13 card, for less than $5, like what are we really talking about? A very low investment for a lot of potential fun somewhere down the line. Now, Fortune Thief. Here's one of those cards I have always loved, okay? This is an Ally of Cairo kind of copycat card. Remember that, okay? Fun card. When you see this thing with a market value of 30 cents, this thing you've got to morph, though, to really make it work, okay? Remember this. Take a closer look. It is 1 red, 4 other, so it costs totally different than Ally of Cairo, but you can morph it in for 2 red. So you can play it face down, then flip it for 3 colorless. Damage that will reduce your life to less than 1 reduces it to 1. This is just another kind of rinse and repeat version of Ally of Cairo, except for they can reprint it. This can come around again. But at this price point, who cares? It does the job of a reserve list card that you can't always afford or get your hands on. But this is so cheap, and it just throws people off when they see it coming. I love cards like this. So inexpensive. Now, the next card, Platinum Angel. And here I'm showing you the Brothers War retro version. It just looks so gorgeous. This card used to be like $30, guys. Okay? The original OG version from like Mirrodin was like 30, 40 bucks. I remember. I mean, we remember these things, but now you look at it and you say, it's only $3. What made it so unappealing? So not good? Is it because you can't play it anymore? Is it because it doesn't work into a deck anymore as a throw-in because artifacts that are generically colored can go into any deck. And when you look what the card does, as a backup emergency card you have to use, flying. You can't lose the game and your opponent can't win the game. So as long as that thing's in play, it's a life preserver. It's going to keep bringing you extra orders of nachos and cheese until they find a way to get rid of it. Even if it's only a turn or two, it can give you that life-saving moment that you need. And no, I wouldn't attack with it. I wouldn't tap it because, you never know what they have coming at you. But if you can just keep it alive, keep it on the board, find a way to give it shroud, put some boots on it, this thing can be a really fun card still. And at that price, really, Wizards has done a disservice to how they've given us these cards nowadays by forgetting the roots of where some of these cards come from and maintaining some of the value of these cards by keeping them on the same lines. They do silly stuff. Now, how about Island Sanctuary? These are cards that I like to use. And I've seen things like this in some of my recent Commander decks where players have no idea. They've never seen this card before in their lives. Now, 1 white, 1 other enchantment. You may decline to draw a card from your library during draw phase. In exchange, until the start of your next turn, only creatures that can attack you are those that have flying or island walk. And what you do, you use combinations like Mystic Decree, where all creatures lose flying. You use Gravity Sphere, all creatures lose flying. You use Peacekeep. Use anything you can to stop creatures from hitting the battlefield. That's what a deck like this is designed to do. It stops all creatures. And since everyone depends on creatures now except for you, you have different ways of winning the game, different ways of making your combinations work for you, where players just don't see it coming. I love cards like this in fun, silly formats, just having a good time. And the same here for Smoke. I talked about this the other day. If you take a look at Smoke, this is a revised edition. It's like $3-4. 2 red enchantment. Each player can only untap 1 creature during his or her untap phase. Imagine being able to untap 1 creature, unless you can make that enchantment phase out, unless you can unsummon it somehow before the end of your turn, unless you can mess them up before it even happens. Their creatures are all tapped, yours are not. You cast Sleep, you put the stuff out, you start messing people up. 5-color decks love cards like this, as long as you can make them work for you in a certain way. And at this price point, whoever saw it coming for such a low cost? And Wizards hates dealing with a slower Magic game. They hate the control aspect that lasts too long. They want their game sped up. It really does throw players off, guys. This kind of stuff, when it happens, totally throws players for a loop. And all these hidden gems, all these cards, year after year, decade after decade, most get ignored. They get relegated to a 50-cent bid. Nobody thinks about them. But the players who recognize what some of these cards can do in combination with newer cards proves that Wizards has lost out on potential value. They've failed themselves in a way of making more revenue later on. They have failed in the way they've executed certain cards for the future and how their playability will be used and utilized by the player base. Because of this fast-paced, gotta get on, they've missed so many opportunities to generate revenue, to create a more inventive, creative brew space for players. It's just funny how you see the game evolve like this. Anyway, some great cards I wanted to share with you. Thanks a lot for being here on the video today. Wizards is failing on a lot of levels, and let's hope they've learned from some of these past mistakes and realize they've got to diversify the game more to give a larger play space for their revenues to grow. Thanks again for being here, guys. Thanks for hanging on the channel. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to all the fantastic patrons on this channel who step up each and every month to support the channel and the content creation that goes on here. Thanks again to each and every one of you. Can't wait to see you on the Sunday live stream. Have a great one, everyone. One day we'll get there. One day. Not today, but one day. You're here at the end. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out on the channel. Guys, it is so awesome to have some of you guys make it to the end of the video to share these moments with me where I just ramble, go on about stuff, because not everyone gets there, not everyone understands like you guys do. So thanks again, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for hanging out with me each and every day, watching the videos to the end, giving those thumbs up to support. It's amazing. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Thanks for being here. And of course, a boomstick in the comment section, because that's what we're talking about. Boomstick.